Hi guys, and welcome to another batch of your replays. Today's replays are all about the Chinese, and we are kicking off with Lihush here in his IS-2. About a month ago, while I was playing on stream, I was constantly cursing the IS-2. In fact, not even a month ago. For the past few months, I constantly cursed the IS-2 because it is one of my cursed tanks. It's a tank that I either have terrible games in, or I have really nice matchups, should be able to have a good game, and just don't. Have a lot of average games, have a lot of poor games, and I just can't play this tank well. And it's not that I don't get into bad or good positions, it's not that I'm not hitting the well, it is that I'm not hitting the target. It's the fact that I like the IS-2, or the IS. I enjoyed the IS, and the IS-2 is a very similar tank. Almost the same tank, except it's Chinese, and for some reason the 122mm on the Chinese tanks, they just don't work as well as they do on the Russian tanks. I don't know why. You get the same alpha damage, you get the same penetration, to all intents and purposes it's the same gun, but they just don't work as well on Chinese tanks as they do on Russian tanks, or at least that's what I find. So I tend to bounce a lot of shots, I tend to miss a lot of shots, even against tanks that I should be easily be able to penetrate. And it's just one of my cursed tanks. Could never have good games in the IS-2. Now, Lihush was watching the stream, and of course he goes out, he plays his IS-2, and he immediately gets an ace tanker, sends it to me to rub my face in it, and he says, listen, I'm playing it wrong, I need to play it aggressively. But the fact is, even when I was playing the IS-2 aggressively, it just would constantly let me down. Also, the fact it's Chinese meant that even though it's the same tank as the IS, I found the IS-2, like all the Chinese tanks, go on fire even more frequently than German tanks do. So yeah, I didn't enjoy the IS-2. But the IS-2 ace tanker, the one and only really good game I think I've ever had in an IS-2, is going to be coming to the channel soon. But in the meantime, this is, as I say, from about a month ago, and I said I would bring it to you anyway, because it is possible to play the IS-2 really well. It is possible to have monster games. It's just I'm incapable to do it. It is a tank that just will not behave for me. Lihush is here on Cliff in a 46%er. He is top tier though, so let's just get going. Yeah, I just don't know what it is about the IS-2. I just, it's sometimes there's a tank in the game other people seem to do well in, and for some reason I can't, and I really can't explain it. Because I did enjoy the IS, didn't keep it, wasn't worth keeping, but it wasn't a bad tank. But this IS-2 is cursed, and I am so happy to have sold it. I'm so happy it's out of my garage finally. I don't know. The armor never seemed to work for me. The gun never seemed to work for me. The tank constantly went on fire. Yeah. And it was annoying because I would be watching games like this where people do really well in the IS-2. But we're going to get back to the game, and as I say, it's on Cliff, and as a heavy tank, you really need some of your top tier heavies to move around to this side of the map. And doesn't aim fully, but gets a nice penetration on a tracked A44. And Lihush immediately angles. A44 is firing gold. So Lihush's angling didn't really matter, but Lihush does get another shot into him. He's up to 805 damage already. Now, if this was me in the IS-2, both of those shots would have bounced. This gun is just cursed for me. But again, Lihush is being aggressive. He's advancing, and now a KV-3 has appeared. He's fired, and Lihush fires in third person, gets a nice shot into the KV-3. KV-3 takes out the PZ-4H that was backing Lihush up. But there we go. That's more like the IS-2 I know. So KV-3 was slightly angled. Lihush bounces on the front of the tank. And once again, I apologize, Lihush. I know that your name in-game is Lihas. I just have a complete inability to call you Lihas or Lihush, and I kind of just switch between the two names. Okay, T-150 backing him up. But he's taken 2 hits. So another nice shot into the KV-3. KV-3 goes for the T-150. And the A-44 finishes him off. So now Lihas is here on his own. And goes for a very, very difficult shot in the KV-3 and misses. And that's more like the gun. This is more like the gun I know. Not very accurate and for some reason fails to pen when you do hit with it. But Lihush is on his own. He's up against 2 tanks. They're both one-hit kills, but Lihush is down to 700 health. So if both the enemy tanks were to hit Lihush and actually pen him, he would die. So he's being patient. He's going to let them make the first move. Tree falling, so he knows there's still at least 1 tank here, if not both. But you can see on the minimap that most of Lihush's team are on the 1-2 lines, just 2 tanks in the middle. And they're under pressure. So there goes the AT-8, so there's just 1 tank with Lihush now. The VK trying to hold the middle against a Chiri and a KV-1S. And who knows how many invisible tanks. So Lihush is aggressive, he needs to move, and he spots the A-44, ammo racks him. Wasn't a big hit, only did 295 damage, but does ammo rack him. Angles against the KV-3. KV-3 bounces and Lihush needs to aim carefully, puts a shot into the KV-3's lower glacis, takes out those 2 tanks. He needed to make that move, he needed to be aggressive, he needed to take out those 2 tanks, because the VK that was behind him is now dead and Lihush is on his own. Lihush knows that there are enemy tanks going to be coming around this corner, and there's the Chiri. Chiri's on full health. Lihush gets a nice shot on the move in 3rd person. And Chiri doesn't have any problems penning him. Gets another nice shot. But the Chiri's on a reload now. Lihush is closing the distance. He's face hugging. And the Chiri's bouncing on his turret. And Lihush finishes off the Chiri. But he's down to 203 health. Now, that was friendly arty. Friendly arty was firing at point-blank range while Lihush was face-hugging the Chiri. That is just so stupid and such bad play by the arty on Lihush's team. So if you do play arty, don't do crap like that. That is absolutely stupid. If his own arty had actually hit him, it would have killed him and cost his team the game. Face-hugging an enemy tank and at least 2 of those arty fired shots. Really, really bad play by the arty on Lihush's team, but Lihush has secured this flank. He knows that there's a KV-1S up here. It's the only tank that was spotted in the middle. The enemy team have 3 arty, and the other 2 tanks have been spotted on the 1-2 line. So it is just basically the KV-1S up here. Enemy KV-1 and VK are on the 1-2 line, so Lihush is moving, and he spots the KV-1S. So all 3 enemy tanks are now down on the 1-2 lines. That means there is just RT left, and what's that tank that hasn't been spotted? Okay, there's a Hellcat that has not been spotted yet. Looks like the looks on Lihush's team is AFK. But Lihush is on 3,600 damage and comes across a GW Panther, who's an easy 1-hit kill. Lihush is on 4 kills. That takes him up to just close to 4k damage. And now the Gorilla has appeared and Lihush moves down into cover. He's only on 200 hit points. He can't afford to get shot even by a Gorilla. But the Gorilla is has taken a hit. The Gorilla is on fire, and AMX13AM gets a nice kill. Lihush says thank you in chat, as he should. Maybe if the AMX was one of those tanks that took a shot at the Chiri while Lihush was face-hugging, maybe that makes up for it as way of apology. But Lihush has now taken out the M44, so second RT kill. He's up to 5 kills, 4.2k damage, and he's just taken a hit, so he took 2 hits. So there's a Hellcat and a KV-1 over here. Don't know what the Hellcat was playing at. Hellcat advances straight into Lihush's line of fire. That gives Lihush his top gun. He knows that the KV-1 is over here. He's staying angled against the KV-1. And he's got this wreck of a Hellcat to hide behind if he needs to. And he is. And there's the KV-1. And that's more like the IS-2 I know. Shot goes low before being fully aimed. KV-1 is taking fire, bounces on Lihush's turret. More careful aim that time, gets a nice shot into the side of the KV-1 for kill number 7 and just short of 5k damage. So that was an amazing game by Lihush. He picked up another ace tanker in his IS-2. I have no idea how many ace tankers he has in this tank. Lihush does really, really well in the IS-2, and I do really, really badly. It's chalk and cheese. But he picked up high caliber, top gun, and steel wall for that game. But you're going to see how big that game was right now, because that was 1860 XP. Yes, 1860 XP for that game. 4,916 damage with 7 kills. Really, really big game. He fired 18 shots, hit 16 and penned 14. I have never had the gun perform that well for me, but a lot of those shots were up close and personal, were basically within about 30 or 40 meters of tanks he was shooting at. So really, really nice performance from the gun. It just never works for me. I don't know why. He received 12 hits, 6 were non-pens. He did only have 200 hit points towards the end, but really the armor did work for him as well. He bounced quite a few shots, blocked 1700 damage by armor, 5 vehicles spotted, 7 damage, 7 destroyed, and did 419 assistance damage. Wasn't playing with a premium account, unfortunately, but he still earned a profit of 27,000 credits. Would have been a much bigger game, but still a really, really nice profit make game in a Tier 7 heavy tank. 1860 XP on a ×2 event left him on 3,720. So as much as I complained about the IS-2, Lihush basically went out, decided to play it to show me that it's easy to get an ace tanker, but I still hate this damn tank. It just never would work for me. But an amazing game, really, really big XP game, really, really nice game to watch, and thanks for sending it in, Lihush. And continuing with the theme of the Chinese, we have cjacey here in his T-34-1. It's a game on airfield. It's a 62%er, so cjacey probably wants to be a little bit aggressive. It's a Tier 7 Chinese medium tank, and it is another one of these tanks. I know that cjacey was really, really happy to get his ace in. It was one of these tanks that cjacey was struggling to get the ace in, and this was his ace game. And as the end score results will say, he titled this replay, "Finally! Finally got this ace!" So T-34-1 on airfield, here we go. Now, I quite enjoyed the T-34-1 when I played it. Didn't enjoy it enough to keep it. I think there are some better medium tanks you can play at Tier 7. I prefer playing the T-20, and I prefer playing the Comet. But it's a pretty solid medium tank for Tier 7. And cjacey is being aggressive, as he probably needs to be. His team are taking their time, moving out from spawn. Now again, due to time constraints, I have not watched this game before recording. I've just looked at the end results. But he's obviously been spotted. Someone is taking shots at him. So he mustn't have sixth sense on the tank. But his team are being very, very defensive. Very few of his teammates have actually pushed up. Lots of tanks setting up camp at the back. Really, really never a good omen when your top tier heavies decide that they're going to be camping at the back of the map. So, cjacey pokes, gets his first spot on a VK-3001P. Don't know what this VK is shooting at. Shot into the ground there. cjacey's trying to poke. Takes a snapshot. Doesn't let his reticule aim. Misses the VK, even at close range. Gets another shot in and does a little bit of damage. But basically cjacey would have got spotting damage for that. He was the one who spotted the VK. VK got taken out. And cjacey has just continued to advance. There's a T-34-1 who's been caught out in the open. Gets a nice shot into him. Pre-aims the shot. Really, really nice. Really, really nicely, I should say. So the T-34-1 was tracked. And cjacey gets another track shot in. 25AT is going absolutely nowhere. Unfortunately, he's now been tracked in a position where he can return fire at cjacey. But cjacey side scrapes. The tracks absorb the shot. Gets another shot into the T-34-1. And this guy's caught in the open. So that is more spotting damage for cjacey. He didn't get the kill, but KV-1S took out the T-34-1. So cjacey gets half the credits and half the XP for that kill. But now his team have decided to be aggressive. So they're pushing up to support him, and cjacey still wants to be in the front line. Other flank seems to be holding, so SU-100Y has been spotted. That probably wasn't cjacey's spot. But hint of a shot at an Arl, but he gets taken out before cjacey can aim. But he waits for the SU-100 to drop off the radar. Fighting with this gun depression. Gets a nice shot on the move and keeps moving. Gets below the gun depression on the SU. And bounces that shot. Really, really unlucky shot by cjacey. SU hits him for a big, big 479. That's what the SU-100Y is all about. It's all about that big alpha damage. So cjacey's driver's been knocked out. But again, he moves into a position where the SU-100Y couldn't get his gun down to hit him. Don't know if cjacey realizes his driver is dead yet, but he's just advancing. He's looking to see if he can get shots in the middle. Doesn't seem to have anything on the E25, but the IS is advancing. And again, that shot wafts into nowhere. Don't know where that shot went. So cjacey is staying rather hull down. And not sure if the IS can even see him, but gets a nice shot in on the IS. Again, it doesn't look as if cjacey... He does have sixth sense, actually. That's been going off the whole game, and I didn't realize. So I don't know who was blind firing him earlier on in the game. But I'm doing these live. First time I'm watching these replays, so I do apologize if I do make mistakes. Being OCD, I'm just wondering when cjacey is going to realize his driver's dead. Excuse me. So again, cjacey's team are being rather aggressive on the other flank. And no shots on the SU-152. cjacey probably should be using third person. He should be using zoom out a little bit more. He's relying on his first person view a lot to see whether or not he's got shots, when all he needs to do is pull out and see whether or not he's got a shot in third person, or even just while he's behind cover, move that black circle, the reticule, over the enemy tank to see whether or not he can see an outline. Just two little tips, cjacey, not being critical, but it just seems that a lot of time is being wasted. See, now he's using a zoom out, but I think a lot of time was wasted seeing whether or not you had shots on tanks when you could have just been able to check in just a second or two. Again, don't know why cjacey's in first person, but he's sneaking up on this SU-152. SU-152 has spotted him. He's turning. cjacey goes for a track shot but fails to track him. Missed the track shot again. This could hurt. This really could hurt. But a KV-1S comes to cjacey's support again. That SU-152 could have really messed cjacey up. So, nice shot in the KV-1S, tracks him in place. RT misses. And cjacey finally picks up another kill. Kill number 2. And the VK has been spotted below him. So cjacey uses the slope to gain speed to avoid the shot from the VK, puts one shot in as he drives by, and finishes the game with 2,600 recorded damage. So that was cjacey's ace tanker and high caliber in the T-34-1. It's a decent medium tank at tier 7. I didn't like it enough to keep it, but I think there are some better tier 7 mediums out there. But it was still a good game, and maybe not because of the damage done, maybe not because of the kills, but cjacey picked up 1269 XP for that game, 2,658 damage and 2 kills. Still a really solid game, but he also managed to do 1,367 assistance damage, so tracked a few tanks, spotted a few tanks, so he spotted 2, damaged 7, destroyed 2, and this was a nice XP boost to what he did in that game. So he fired 19 shots, 13 hits, 12 penetrations. The gun is okay on the tank. The biggest problem for me was his lack of gun depression, but the gun is okay, and it's quite maneuverable. It doesn't have a lot of armor unless you can get hull down, but it's a pretty solid tank. I don't think anyone would be too disappointed by driving the T-34-1. It's an okay tank to grind. He earned 41,000 credits for that game and 913 XP, or 903 XP with a premium account times 2, which left him on 3,806. So I'm including this because I haven't included a lot of T-34-1 footage on the channel. Also because cjacey is a regular contributor and has sent me a lot of footage and a lot of games, and I'm happy for him that he finally picked up an ace tanker in a tank that wasn't performing so well for him. But it was a pretty solid game in a pretty solid tank, and it just shows that basically, if you're aggressive, if you get spots, if you track tanks, you will get higher XP games. Also, it gave me the opportunity to point out that maybe cjacey should be using his third person a little bit more, using his zoom out a little bit more, and also using his reticule, not the actual gun reticule, but the center of the reticule, to actually spot to see if he's got shots on targets when he's behind cover. It's very quick. You don't actually have to be in a line of sight to see whether or not you've got a shot on a target before popping out of cover, and I might bring a video showing that to you at a later stage. So that was it for today's replays featuring the Chinese. A really strong game, fantastic game by Lihush in a tank I didn't like, but was cursed for me, and a game in a tank I did like in the T-34-1, but was cursed for cjacey, so happy he finally got the ace. Thank you guys for sending those in, and thank you folks for watching. I'll see you next time.